I was nursing a coffee at one of my favorite coffee shops the other day. On the screen, the Steven Spielberg classic movie, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. There's a moment in this movie that I've always found fascinating. Richard Dreyfuss, playing Roy Neary, is standing in his house trying to build something. He doesn't know what it is. He just knows that somehow he has to build it. He starts with ordinary things, dirt, clay, whatever he can find, and eventually even mashed potatoes. He keeps seeing the same shape over and over again, but he doesn't know why, and everyone around him thinks he's losing his mind. On the surface, Close Encounters is a movie about aliens, UFOs, strange lights in the sky, and one man's extraordinary encounter with something he can't explain. But watching it again, I wondered if maybe there's another story hidden inside it. Because Roy has experienced something that changed him. He can't unsee it. He can't forget it. And he can't go back to being exactly the person he was before. Something is calling him. The problem is, he doesn't know what. And I wonder how often that happens in our own lives. Not with spaceships, not with lights in the sky, but with a feeling. An idea that keeps returning. A place we feel drawn to. A person we somehow need to meet. Or simply the persistent feeling that there must be something more. We usually want the explanation first. Tell me what's going on. Tell me what it means. Give me a sign. Show me the destination and then I'll take the first step. But Roy doesn't get the explanation. He gets the pull. Eventually, something remarkable happens. The strange shape he's been obsessively trying to create appears on television. Devil's Tower. Suddenly, the thing that made no sense has a name. It has a place. And Roy realizes that somehow he's been moving toward it all along. I think there have been times in my own life when I've wanted Devil's Tower to appear on the television. Some unmistakable answer. Something that says, this way. I've looked for signs, synchronicities, little winks from the universe telling me that I'm headed in the right direction. But maybe that's not always how becoming works. Maybe sometimes we have to live with the mystery for a while. Maybe we notice the same idea returning, the same longing, the same question, and we don't immediately know what any of it means. Maybe we're building our own Devil's Tower, one handful at a time. That's what I love about this movie. Steven Spielberg gives us the spectacle, the lights, the music, the enormous mothership. But underneath all of that is something much quieter. A man who becomes convinced that his ordinary life isn't the whole story. And perhaps that's why Close Encounters of the Third Kind still speaks to people almost 50 years later. Because maybe somewhere inside us there's a little bit of Roy Neary, a part of us that wonders whether the life we can see is all there is. Maybe already becoming is partly about learning to live in the space between knowing that something needs to change and knowing exactly what that change will look like. Between hearing the call and understanding where it's coming from. And maybe we don't need to understand everything before we begin. Maybe the thing that keeps us returning to our imagination deserves our attention. not because every feeling is a message, and not because every coincidence is a sign, but because sometimes the things we can't quite let go of tell us something about ourselves. So maybe Close Encounters of the Third Kind isn't only a movie about visitors from somewhere else. Maybe it's also about listening to something inside ourselves. That quiet sense that says there's more. There's something you haven't discovered yet. There's somewhere you haven't been. There's someone you haven't become. And perhaps that's enough for today. We don't always need to know where the signal is coming from. Sometimes we just need to notice that we're receiving it. Pay attention to what keeps calling you. You may already be becoming the person who can answer.